Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy Artist. Today we are painting this beautiful sunflower. It's one of our online painting classes that we do with y'all with our painting kits. So this one's a little bit different than before. We're starting to introduce palette knife painting with this. So it's a really fun process. I love it. I use it a lot in my personal artwork. So I'm going to start introducing it into our online classes. So this gives you an idea of what it looks like when it's in a larger scale format. This is a 16 by 20. This is what we do with our painting classes where we meet in person. So I wanted to give you all a really nice big visual of it. And then also this is my studio, so you get a chance to see where I work. So this is my sunroom, and so I get lots of really fun natural light. It's just a beautiful space back here. But at any rate, y'all are always welcome to come join me in person. You can look at our classes at tipsyartist.com. And then also our painting kits for those who work at home. So that's what we're here to work on today. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down here, and then let's go ahead and show you the smaller canvas. So this is a 9 by 12. We have the line art already done for you here. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to an aerial view so we can talk about this process here. So I'll place this down, and then we're going to switch views here. So hold on. And then there we go. All right. I'm going to switch. Let's see. Okay. Get my reading glasses on, get them all set. All right. So with this, let's go ahead and talk about this process. So we have our canvas panel, we have the transfer paper, and then we have the line art. So the first thing I want to do is place the transfer paper on the canvas. We'll do 2 pieces of tape up here at the top. I let all of this be free and open so that I can check my work. Then I go ahead and I center this in the middle of the canvas, but with this particular design, it definitely ends at the bottom of the canvas with that ending there. And so you can just go ahead and make it flush with the end of the canvas there, but then center it from here to here. So you are going to have more extra room up at the top, but that's actually a good thing. That's going to work out well with the design. So once you've got that down, then you've got your pencil here that comes with the kit. And you basically just draw right over the top, just apply pressure and draw. And then that transfers the image to the panel. And it will look like a pencil drawing at first. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And by the way, again, nice and free and open so you can check your work. Make sure you do get every line drawn before you completely remove this, because it is almost virtually impossible to line that back up again. All right, so we've got all that line work done. Then I took my permanent marker, this is also in your kit, and I went ahead and went over every single line. So it allows it to really preserve your trace, because it, the paint will kind of bleed, the line work will actually bleed through the paint a little bit. And for most of that process, that's actually a good thing so that it preserves the shape. And then I'm going to teach you how to cover over what we need to with the paint, especially with the palette knife. It's going to be nice and thick, and they'll go over the edges nicely. So this gives us a great start, makes it a lot more easy, just very fun and easy for beginners. Okay, so the rest of our tools here, we have your brushes. Let's go ahead and introduce them. We've got Mama Brush, Little Buddy, and then Little Bit. Of course, yours will be brand new. Mine are a little bit left here. And then you will have your palette knife. We're going to do this closer towards the end of the class. And then we've got your paint. Let's go ahead and talk about what that looks like here. We've got your paint set. And mine is also used. I basically, just to give you an idea of how great this paint set is, I think I'm on about I don't know, 3rd or 4th painting now. So you get a lot of mileage out of those. And then I've got your little paint plate nearby. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of some titanium white and some Mars black to start with. I work in such large volume now, so I have some bigger bottles of this nearby. Okay. So we're good. I've got that set up. Right. Okay, so napkins, yeah, so everything you need comes with the kit. The only thing you will have to get will be your bucket of water. That's the only thing that does not come with the kit. All right, so let's go ahead and get. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with this beautiful background first. Let's see, I'm gonna be using some of this beautiful primary cyan blue. And when you're using these tubes for the very first time, they will have a silver foil lining on top. And so you will have to peel that off so the paint can freely flow through the top of this. And always make sure and recap these. That's super important because acrylic paint does set up and dry very quickly. And you want to make sure that these are long lasting. And so preserve those by recapping those every single time. All right, next up, we're going to use a little bit of this Viridian. So I'm going to do a little touch of that over here. And then, of course, we have our titanium white here nearby, and then our Mars black. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take my mama brush. Your brush will be new, so you want to go ahead and push it into the water just a little bit, get it moist, and go ahead and dry it off a little bit here. Then it will be, again, just moist and flexible and ready to use. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take just a little bit of this white. We're going to push into this primary cyan blue. And then a little bit of this Viridian. We're going to mix all of those together. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of water here to that. It's going to help it be a little bit more fluid and easier to push around and move into the canvas. And as I start to apply the paint on the canvas here, I'm just going to kind of push back and forth. I'm going to give it a nice little textural look by doing like little cross strokes back and forth. It almost feels like you make the letter X over and over and over again. And a little boogie there, grab some water, touch into that, and then you're just going to take a paper towel there and just that'll lift it right off. Normally, I'm fairly sloppy at the front, and I don't really at the beginning of my painting rather, and I don't have to worry too much about it. But in this case, that is going to be a very light yellow, and I don't want that blue interrupting. All right, one other thing I'm going to grab here is going to be some Cadmium Red. Get a nice big dollop of that. Primer and Magenta would be kind of fun, so you can do a little bit of that. Maybe a little touch of purple. I have a feeling this will be, this is remove that silver foil liner. Fill that just because. About halfway through here. As we do our cut in around the flowers, we're going to hold the brush more like a pencil. This will give us the nice thin line edge to do that cut in work around those petals. A little bit of water helps us flow into the canvas. Removes any of that peekaboo. Starting to get a little bit red in here, so I'm going to dip into the primary red. Mix that back and forth. We can also do a little bit of this primary magenta. And the blue mixed with that kind of goes to a purple anyway, but you can also touch a little bit of purple on it too. It's kind of fun. Just cross back and forth. And if you do want to lighten up a little bit more, you can just rinse out your brush and completely lighten that by going into the pure red. But I'm going to softly kind of push this a little bit of an overlap over that blue, crisscrossing the stroke, and then that will give me a nice soft blend between the two. So it's a nice transition from the blue to the red. Again, crisscrossing, overlapping that blue, softly blending those two. And let's go ahead and show you what it could look like to be a little bit lighter over here. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse out. Dry off. Let's pick up some of that bright primary red. Seeing how that gets to be quite a bit lighter. I'm also going to turn the handle of the brush over to the side. That gives me a lighter hand, allows a little bit more of that paint to just rest on the surface area. And do a little bit of that primary magenta in there too. That's really pretty, with a pink quality to it. Again, light hand, holding it more over to the side. And then we have to slow down a little bit, become a little bit more careful as we work in and around these little petals. Switch more to that pencil hole or again, line edge faces there so you have that more precise cut in. If you need to use your smaller brushes for this part, that is also completely understandable. You can also use Little Buddy or a little bit. You can do a little twirl here into those other colors a little bit. And we can use this to help kind of line out those tiny little areas. So I'm just using the line edge of the brush to do that. That didn't work over. And then as I go back into the larger area, then I'm going to do a little bit more of that cross stroke. And it feels like you make the letter X over and over and over again, right hand. And then I can start to come in with a little bit more of that blue and white. So I'm going to work that while it's still wet. I don't want to have a hard line right next to it. I want to have it kind of softly fading into the next color. So I'll do a little bit of that cross stroke back and forth over the top. Now I want it to go and pull to more of this light blue. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more of the primary cyan blue and the titanium white. It's going to rinse out, dry off. And we'll start to pull this and down into the rest of the canvas. Pretty. Softly back and forth there. Oh, it's my daughter calling. Hey, sweetie, I'm in the middle of teaching a class and you're being recorded. Uh-oh.
Never mind then.
Okay, I'll call you back when I'm done.
Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to answer it now, but I'm gonna talk to you soon anyway. So.
Okay, sweetie. I love you.
All right. Good night to you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That's my lovely daughter. She's teaching school. Special needs kids. Very busy, a little bit stressful. But she calls me on the way home and she'll tell me about her day. So. So let's keep going around. I definitely need my little bit brush around there. I'm gonna kind of crisscross this back and forth. Crisscross applesauce. All right, let's do a little bit of this. This is a little bit brush. We're gonna do our cut-in work here. Try a little bit more white. Quit in row. I'm gonna go and do the rest of this too. Well, I've got a little bit in these tiny other areas. So keep tiny in here. Back with mama. So I'm still using my white with my primary cyan blue. Just kind of crisscrossing those colors back and forth. These look really good. Looking good. Let's cross. I just picked up a teeny amount of that Viridian. Just cross that in there. Very wide. And the painting might change a little bit with the background. I mean, I'm fairly playful with the abstraction of some of this, and so I've got darker blues in here, but that may not occur this time. All right, so that's quite lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out now. Do a little bit of this. I've got this darkened in here in the beginnings. And then these little spots here, that I'm gonna leave those. There's some color. Abstraction of texture. And I'm being fairly light-handed. I don't want this to be a real thick amount of black because I do want it to set up and dry pretty quickly. So just rub in a little bit of this black base coat. right near that circle. In fact, you can add a little bit of water to this to make it, see, that really helps it spread into the pores of the canvas, but since it is low water, it'll set up and dry pretty quickly too. We're gonna let that set up. We're gonna migrate down here to the leaves. I still have some Viridian, which is nice. It's gonna have a teal color. I'm also going to put some Cadmium Green down here. Okay. All right, let's do a little bit of some bright yellow green too. So I'll do a little bit of this black with my cadmium green and a little bit of white. It pulls it to a sage color. So I'll move that into this little leaf here. And this little leaf here. Dark shadow there to begin with. At the green. And then let's go really bright light green here. And work that into that darker sage green to get a soft blend between the two. Okay, let's see. Let's get from here. Let's get a little bit more of some bright yellow. We're going to give a touch into that. And want a bright yellow green. We'll touch that bright primary yellow and push that down. Shade. Bright primary yellow. And remember, a lot of this texture that comes in over the top will be with palette knife. So it's definitely a little bit of a later step here. So the yellow, bright primary yellow, we're gonna push that in over the top. A little bit of an accent there too. Let's go ahead and rinse out. And then let's grab a little bit of this Viridian with the white. A little bit of turquoise there. A little bit of push of that. Push of that here. Push and drag. Touch of that here. Touch of that there. And then we're gonna go a little bit more like Viridian and the black. And push that in underneath. Some leaf here. And then just a little bit of purple over here, kind of follow the line on this side. And then squish on the top. And a little bit of this purple, have it go up underneath, and drag it back across. And then rinse out here. Just a little tiny touch of the red right there, so sweet. And drag that in a little bit. Okay. And then, well, I've got this like winning room, okay? We've got a little bit of pink and red. A little touch. Just dab, 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 tap, tap, tap into that area. And, primary magenta, cadmium red. We're gonna start to tap that in. Cross stroke tab there. We've got a lot more layering there, so no worries on that. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit more of the bright primary yellow. And tap that in there. We'll start a little texture. Let's rinse out. Let's bring out a little bit of this blue and the white. And do a little push. Right there. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and start to work on our petals. And remember, every time I do this, it always ends up being a little different. This is a very playful, loose approach. So it certainly will have some changes. Won't be exactly the same every time. I'm gonna do a big dollop of this primary yellow. Big dollop of the cadmium yellow. I've got it near the red since they'll be kind of playing together here. And then I'm gonna reload with some of this primary magenta. We'll have touches of that too. And of course our white. All right, so the first thing I want to do is just get a nice layer of this primary yellow. So it's that first wash of color before we start really trying to apply texture over the top. It's clearly got a little dab of red in there, but that's that all right. We're gonna have a lot of that mixed in anyway. Take this all the way around. Primary yellow, and then cadmium yellow. I'll take this all the way around. This gives a nice foundation before we start to really have fun with that palette knife. This red, oops, this, I don't know why I said red, that blue, sorry, is still really wet, so I'm gonna be careful and try to be more precise with my color now. Hold the brush like a pencil when you're getting that line and kind of into that shade. Okay, be patient with it.
I think I missed part of my background now, but you know what, I'm just gonna look at it, it's fine. Not the last one. Do it all right. Okay, we're gonna know. Yeah, really. Cadmium and yellow, it's really nice. Strong. So we've got a really nice foundation here. And rinse out. Wow. I'm gonna get a lot more of this primary yellow. But keep in mind, you'll have a full bottle, and I've already painted several paintings with this yellow, so that's why I'm going to know that help. We'll have fun. And then I've got a little bit more of this cadmium yellow. And cadmium red. All right, so let's start playing with the palette knife. So this is very fun. And you basically just, let's see, I'm gonna do a little bit of this. So I just kind of lay it flat under that color, so just like that. And then we're just gonna start to basically kind of play with it a little bit, kind of pull it out, press down and pull it out a little bit. It's okay if it kind of goes into the center. It makes some really nice texture. I'm just doing a nice little base of this hot pink. And I keep most of it towards the center. You have a lot of wiggle room. So you don't run out of space as the petal starts to taper. So you want to keep a lot of this like in here and then just lift off with a light. And you can of course turn the canvas as you go. Just kind of follow it all the way around. And that beautiful texture there. Doesn't have to be precise. It's very playful, very textural. And sometimes what I do is I kind of push and then pull out. Do a little bit of a side drag and then pull out. So press down, a little bit of side drag, pull out. Right, I'm gonna let that set up a little bit. Wipe off. And then let's go ahead and go into some of these colors down here. Take on the Viridian. And some of that bright. Yellow. I'm gonna take a little bit of that white. Viridian, and mix those two together. That's very pretty. And then just do a little touch. Put an angle and drag it along the edge there. To go to that bright green. Light touches in, light drags, and then the dot. Light here. And then purple. Purple. And sweep that into the bottom. Right, so we're getting some really fine texture there. And wipe off. Try to get to all your edges. Sometimes with the palette knife, I'll just go ahead and remove one more layer and dark brush. Alright, so now we're going to be dipping into more of the bright. So now, clean palette knife, and let's just do more of this yellow and the cadmium yellow. And split amount of that, and then just see if we can pull this out to the tips of the petals. And then here, take it backwards, that little point goes in the tip, the edge, for the end of the petals. Here a little press. Pull. I'm gonna hold the palette knife in the end of that petal and then just pull to the middle. And the big sloppy little amounts of paint happen to come out, will be very beautiful. Just put cadmium here. Push into it and pull in. And there you go. I'm trying to keep mine upright for camera view, but if you need to move the canvas as you go to have a better angle to move in, absolutely feel free to do that. white in there too. A nice thick amount there. And barely leave it on. More yellow. And then I'm just gonna grab more yellow since I'm using it only pencil. I use several times. So, oops. Get to the right space. Okay. Put a little bit of that yellow. Smooth that on there. Very textural with it. It feels like frosting. Okay, a little bit. And that white, with that bright yellow. And I'm going to be able to work back into that black here in a little bit. Right now, I'm just trying to get really good solid coverage over the petals here. Again, that white and the yellow. Light red over the top. Main thing is you also have to make sure it's going the right direction. It's like I'm having to turn it at an angle to match the petal. So again, for you, it's probably easier just to turn your canvas. About that, I'm gonna go ahead and find it just a little bit so you see what I'm talking about. So like here, you're gonna have a much better positioning if you just turn the canvas as you work. I'll do that for just a little bit. So it is, it's just very helpful. Yeah, so it's starting to get some really beautiful petal work there, very thick and rich and beautiful in our sunflower. And then I'm gonna touch into just a little bit of the black. I'm really careful and just keep it on the very tips though, because I don't want to interrupt all the beautiful yellow. So I'm gonna do little tiny strokes of that in here to give that black some nice little texture. Again, just keep it on the tip here. And then also, this is another time when it's a lot easier just to rotate. Okay. Poke into it on the side as you work it around, but again, just keep it on the very tip top there. Take this all the way around. Okay, you come back to the center. Let's go and dry off. Really get that clean, because you definitely want that, don't want that interrupting. Okay. Now I'm gonna do a little touch of that pink and red. Let that lay right on top, very textural. Then over here with that further or that left. Go right on top. Just cross it back and forth. And then you can add a second coat too to that blue. You're gonna keep it a little bit more textural, or if you're some fun Viridian, it doesn't have to be the blue, but blue and Viridian that comes out in. Yeah, just right on the tip, it gives you control as to where it's placed in there. And continue to kind of wipe that. All right. So it is looking really, really good. The other thing that you can do too, if you want to play with texture a little bit, you can take your brush here, Mama, and you can do a little bit of tap, tap, tap on the side. Kind of soften this a little bit if you don't want that to be as bold. And it kind of taps in a little bit of that black into that color and just softens it a little bit. Just tap, tap, tap. And you can do that around the edges here too, just add a little bit of texture. Just tap, tap, tap. Tap into those, between a few of those little petals. Use the corner of the brush just to get that texture. All right. So I think we are done. Again, it always looks a little bit different every time because the texture just changes and it's just a very fun and playful process. But that is our beautiful sunflower with the palette knives. So again, very fun, very creative. And keep in mind too, that if something happens to where you're like, oops, and you hit something you didn't mean to, let it completely set up and dry. And then you can take your palette knife again and, you know, touch into a heavy amount of paint and just tap right over the top to make it match whatever color you want to. So there's certainly a lot of forgiveness. You can always come back in after it dries and palette in more paint over the top. But it is beautiful, and this will definitely take a lot more than the normal drying time because it's so thick over the top. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to painting with y'all again very, very soon. And all the supplies that you need are on our website at tipsyartist.com. See y'all again soon. Toodles.